What's up, man?
Hey.
What the hell are you doing?
Nothing? How was China?
It was good.
Yeah? What'd you guys do?
Can't tell you, man.
Okay, like what games you guys look at?
Can't tell you, sorry.
You can't even tell me what game you looked at?
Not till April, dude.
What the hell?
So where's Cesar?
He went to Montreal.
What's going on over there?
Can't tell you.
Jeez. I hate E3.
Weird.
Hey, I don't wanna go to work today. I wanna stay home and play all my video games on the One Up Show. You know you'll be a star on the One Up Show. You already are. Every day, this life's a holiday. One up, 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 one up on the One Up Show. One up, 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 one up on the One Up Show.
Hey, Jane. I heard you got to go talk to Tomb Raider's daddy, Toby Gard.
Yeah, Toby Gard.
What'd you dudes talk about?
Dudes, we talked about Lara because I didn't realize that he started out basically as a character designer.
But from what Rutland said, I'm sure there's a clue down there about what killed my mother. I have to go back.
Well, the main thing I was thinking about when coming up with Lara Croft in the first place was just trying to have a character differentiated from all the other characters around at the time. The only games that seemed to be selling at the time were the sorts of games that had big, strong, muscly American men in them.
Right.
And pretty much the publishers were all saying that you literally had to have an American protagonist even to be able to sell a game
By
at
the
all.
way, I was going to say, I love that Lara's still British, unlike
Yeah.
Joanna Dark, who they turned into an American.
Did they?
Yeah,
That seems
you didn't
wrong,
see
doesn't it?
Perfect Dark Zero. It was really
Yeah.
weird.
Is that what I think it is? It's called an anachronism.
It was Amanda's.
So he came up with the character, and then from there he came up with like the
I
game,
think
like
so. I
making
think
her
that's
into
what-
Indiana
yeah.
Jones. Did you find out, like, did he always think, oh, Indiana Jones, but with tatas?
Lara, get out of there!
The sort of design I was going for with Lara at the time, especially because of the low polygon counts and everything, it was deliberately like taking cues from comic book characters. So they are kind of exaggerated, and it seemed like you needed to exaggerate. If proportions were completely ordinary in those days with that number of polys, it was kind of difficult to read.
Tomb Raider is a sort of a I don't know if it's controversial, but people
It
sort
can be
of
a point
are
of contention,
split
definitely.
down the middle on that game, because some women love Tomb Raider, and a lot of women are like, no, the Tomb Raider character is what's wrong with video games.
If we're talking about realism, it's not like the male characters in any of these games are, are the everyman.
No.
So I mean, I don't think it's terribly reasonable for women to be up in arms because she's so hot, and that's so unreasonable.
And in fact,
but
if you look at women's media, we're all about hot women. I mean, pick up
Women
the
are
fucking
way
cover
meaner.
of
Yeah.
Vogue, and you see it's like half-naked women
Cosmo.
all across the magazine. So I don't think we have a problem with that so much.
and sure, the female form,
But,
in my
like-
opinion, is usually prettier than the male.
I kind of think
You know?
so too. It's sort of interesting because in this new game itself, they also sort of flash back to early Lara, and they show her in her classic Lara outfit with like that sort of teal tank top,
Right, like an
and the
acknowledgement.
shorts, and yeah,
Like,
Right.
hey, remember when this was cool?
Remember when this was
Remember
what
when
she
I wore
looked like?
I had scrunchies in my
Yeah.
hair and acid wash
She's still-
jeans. from what I've seen of Legend, you know, they're moving back to that Prince of Persia, you know,
Yeah,
movement
it
ideal,
looks a
and
lot
and
like
I
Prince of
think
Persia.
I think they figured out that, like, it seems like, I don't know, when you spoke to, he's not on the project anymore though, right?
Well, this is the weird thing, is he wasn't for the longest time, and they coded it without him, and they, like, did all this stuff, and then they brought him on, I guess, pretty recently to sort of fine-tune the character. He advised on the script and the story, and then he determined how she was going to look.
Like, the character for me wasn't supposed to be highly sexualized. In fact, like, none of the original Tomb Raider game was highly sexualized at all.
Right.
She was very much like being an aristocrat. She was, I think that we treated the character with a lot of respect, right? She was sexy, but at the same time, she was never titillating, and she was just strong and therefore interesting, just by being herself. And I felt after the game was released, there was like a lot of the old marketing department really wanted to sell her purely on the sex side, and I didn't appreciate that, and that was the reason why I left.
Were you bitter that Lara Croft had been dragged through the mud, sort of, through, you know, sort of mediocre movies and games for 10 years, and then when they asked you to come back, I mean, what was your immediate reaction to that when they asked you?
No, I mean, I think, like I say, it's an interesting challenge to see whether or not we can make her everything that I always hoped that she was going to be.
I have to ask you this just because I'm obsessed with the fact that you walked away from it all. Like you,
Yeah.
like when Lara was blowing up, you just like, you started galling.
Yeah.
You walked away from it.
I think that you just have to. I don't think money should drive you, right? I mean, it's important and all of
Right.
that, but at the same time, I wanted to make interesting things. I wanted to make interesting games, and I was afraid that the way that it used to be at core with making Tomb Raider
Right.
games, that it was sort of felt like a cash cow to me, right? And that there wasn't going to be any ability to really move the franchise forwards.
And then, here at Crystal Dynamics, you don't think that she's going to become another
I
cash
think
cow
it's
here,
a much
or?
more. I think no, the people here really care about Lara and really want to progress the series.
Draw her fire!
Are you considered kind of a loose cannon? Like they don't want you talking to the press about Tomb Raider?
I am a loose
Yeah?
cannon. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you also
yeah.
make crazy games like Galleon.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's why you got to watch out for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It scares him.
With the third-person perspective, especially with the games that do have a rich storyline and a good story, which is rare, but such a treat. And you get sucked into that story, and it's still much more interactive than just, you know, having a book read to you or watching a movie. But you definitely, maybe you don't identify with them, but you certainly begin to sympathize more than you ever would.
Which is why I think also Toby was frustrated with what was happening to Lara, because she was being put in these positions that, the way he conceived of the character would never allow herself. She would never pose in Playboy. You know, like Lara Croft is way too
Right.
high class for that. What was it like when you first played Tomb Raider, like the first one? Like, when did you play that, and what did you think about it?
I played it for days and days and days and
Yeah.
days. I really enjoyed it. I mean, beyond the fact that you got to play, oh, I'm a girl, you know, which I'd only really enjoyed before that in Metroid.
Yeah, but in Metroid it's kind of a cop-out, because it's like you don't even...
Yeah.
It's not important that she's female.
She's not feminine.
Yeah.
It's important that she's female because
think
it's a
so?
big reveal at the end, I think. Probably that reveal at the end of that game is the main reason I am still today in love with video games, is that feeling it gave me. Not only we were calling him he all the way through the game,
Yeah.
then the big reveal, and not only is it a chick, it looks just like me.
Yeah, with the blonde
It was like the
hair
video
and-
game. Yeah, it was, and you know, it's that 9-year-old like egocentric kind of thing. But I mean, completely dissolved that fourth wall, and it was like video games were totally magic then. People are constantly like, oh, what do girls want to play? You know, how do I get my girlfriend to start playing games? What games will girls like? You know,
Yeah.
they're always seeking that demographic. And the thing is, it always comes down to just make good games.
Although I do agree that having things like a female protagonist might be
Exactly.
initially more appealing. I mean, I agree with you that it doesn't matter once you begin to play the game and understand all the mechanics of the game, and that's what really keeps you playing.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of getting somebody to pick up a game at first, I think you were right when you said you sort of have to feel like, hey, I can relate to this
Mm-hmm.
in some way, whether it's through the character or the story or whatever, but you have to be able to relate.
Right.
And having a good female protagonist is maybe the easiest way.
Right.
You guys are done soon, right? So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's next for you? I mean, what are you flirting with? I mean, what do you want to do?
I don't know. I mean, I still think. I mean, we've this game really opens the door for Lara Croft in a lot of ways. There's a lot more story to tell. So I'm interested to see what else we can do with it. To be honest with you, so.
Was just thinking, you know how the next like snake is like old snake?
Oh yeah.
About like old like Lara when she's
Old
like
Lara.
looking.
Well, she's
Old
already
Lara,
older,
where
right?
she's
In this
like,
game,
yeah,
she's
she's
older.
older.
Yeah.
But then what if she's like looking back over her? I don't know.
Grandma Lara.
Grandma Lara.
You'll love this. He wants to meet at Toru Nishimura's offices across the street from his penthouse.
Nishimura? Takamoto doesn't know we're friends.
Nope. All he knows is Nishimura's hosting a corporate party tomorrow night, and you'll meet him there.
Better and better.
Yo, Jared.
Hey, what's going on, Mikey?
Man, I seen you on the One Up show.
Oh, jeez.
DDR Supernova? Man, you got
was
some
sick.
moves,
It
bro.
was a sick game, man. Did you check it out?
Yeah, you got some moves, bro. Hey, I hear you have a crew. Dude, I dance too. Can I get down? What's up, man?
Oh, you think you can groove with us, man?
I got some moves, bro.
All right. Let's see what you got. Show me some moves.
I'll show you a little something.
All right.
On the One Up Show, you know you'll be a star. On the One Up Show, you already are. Every day, it's like a holiday. So long, goodbye. I'm gonna run away right now. Game on all night. I'm gonna be on the One Up Show. On the One Up Show. One up, 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 one up. On the One Up Show. One up, 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 one up. On the One Up Show. One up, 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 one up. On the One Up Show.
How's that?
Can you AAA Fascination Max?
What's that?
Don't worry about it. Don't call me. I'll call you, man. Don't worry about it, all right?
You gonna call me?
Yeah. Don't you worry about a thing.
You gonna call me?
Yep.
I think I got it, man.
He wants to talk about Dirge of Cerberus, right?
Yeah, I played a little bit of that shit.
Right. Dirge of Cerberus, for anybody who's not familiar with it. BAM! That's it right there. Dirge of Cerberus. I love me some Final Fantasy, and I was really hoping the best would come for this game.
Right. Yeah, of course. Because you love Final Fantasy.
But it didn't.
Yeah.
It's got some of the highest production values as far as the CG is concerned. The CG in this game might be better than the stuff that we see in Advent Children. I mean, it's so sharp. I think
it's at least at the same level of quality.
魔法キャノンの方を見てくれ。
そこはもうとっくに。あれ？
it's not really a first-person shooter. It's a combination third-person shooter / action game.
Right.
that goes into like kind of a Resident Evil 4 Splinter Cell perspective when you're shooting. You can press R1 and go into a completely first-person mode, but you don't see any gun on screen. It's just a targeting rest.
You put in the game first, and I came over and asked you how it was, and you told me that all the controls were ass backwards.
Right. Okay. Now, I don't understand. This is why the Japanese just have not been able to do a good first-person shooter yet, because they just don't get it. Okay. All right. Free tip from me to the design department at Square Enix. Do not have your character control like an airplane. Like when you start, like I had to go in and reverse all the controls. Push up to aim down, down to push up, and like that's
within
almost,
the realm of reason.
That's
you know,
almost
like,
reasonable. But the push right to aim left thing, no, no, way no, way no.
Yeah,
it's just one of those things you would think that they could solve in the first 5 minutes of game design. We've been working on this thing. We're going to work on this thing for the next 3 years. Production values going into the CG, into the graphics. We're going to make the most of the PS2 hardware. But let's jack the controls. I was like, what are you thinking?
You can switch the controls in the menu, which
Yeah,
you can.
And I did.
And I did too. And okay, so I took it one step further.
All right.
All right, I opened up this case here when you gave me this disc yesterday. Yeah. And the first thing I saw, can you zoom in on this?
You went there, didn't you?
You see that?
Keyboard.
Mouse and keyboard. Okay, and I'm like, all right, this guy, Kitase, he wants to make a first-person shooter. He claims he plays Counter-Strike. I'm going to play his game like a first-person shooter. I was slightly impressed, okay? Because I was like, you know, and you'll see from the, you can tell from the footage that like, you know, I'm playing with a mouse. It's very obvious that like the control is there, it's smooth. There are some frame rate issues when you get too many. The game in general runs at 60 frames a second, which is pretty awesome actually.
It dips like when you come running around a corner, all of a sudden like 5 people come running by, running away from the enemy soldiers.
Yep. There goes the frame rate, and it's even worse when you're playing with a mouse because the
so
sensitivity of the mouse is actually linked to the frame rate of the game. So when the frames are dropping, it thinks it's like sampling too fast, and your cursor goes all over the place.
Oh man,
causes some problems. But other than that, it's pretty good. You can't reprogram the keys, but they're programmed very, very well. So I will give them that.
Okay.
So you're gonna plug your keyboard in. You're at their you have to use their settings, but it actually is pretty correct. Like anyone who's been playing FPS with ASWD is gonna be able to hop right in for the most part. The combat feels simple. You can run up to things and shoot them with your gun. But what's annoying is that there's like a long delay between each of your shots. So it's not like you can see an enemy over there and go like tack, 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 and shoot him 5 times.
Yeah.
It's like shoot, wait 2 seconds.
There is a
shoot.
delay.
It's quite possible the combat system could get very complex as the game moves forward. Like maybe the time between shots like decreases as you gain experience, or maybe you use different items and guns that act completely differently.
Right, but then there's the bullshit targeting system. You've got the big green oval, and then you're locked on when the little purple reticle lands on the character. It doesn't control like Devil May Cry. Far from it. Anybody expecting that level of combat in the hand-to-hand is going to be really disappointed with the 3-hit punch kick combo that Vincent does. Another thing that I feel about the game is that it doesn't even feel like a first-person shooter. It feels like House of the Dead, because everything in the game is scripted. It's a scripted series of events that you have to beat in order to get the key card. We're back to Duke Nukem.
I know.
To get the key card to lower the laser gates and get through.
The sweet thing about Devil May Cry is that you can use fucking hit someone up with your sword and then do like a few gunshots and then do a few more melee attacks.
Switch to other weapons on the fly, range, hit them 5 times before they come down.
And there's none of that in this game. They basically throw a pause in between any of the, you can't use your guns and then also use your melee attack.
Will Square listen to feedback and make changes for the US version. Improve it. Default the controls to like classic FPS Halo style.
If they don't, they may be screwed.
Knowing Square, I put my money on they don't really change much. Because
I would
if they went this far to put the game out as is, they think it's fine.
I hope they do make some changes to the U.S. version. I mean, it would be a damn shame if, you know, you have to respect their decision to take it a different direction. Sure, FPSs are nothing special in the U.S., but for Japan, not many people making them over there. So it was cool of them to take a crack at the genre. I just hope that they decide to go back and, I mean, play some Halo or something before they put it out.
It's something that if they had gotten it right, it would have been the coolest thing ever. Because Vincent is a badass character.
Sure.
You know, I'm just hoping that Nomura, who in one of our interviews said that he would like to do a remake of Final Fantasy VII on PS3.
Yeah, I remember that.
Let's hope he does it. Because this ain't happening.
No.
And Jason, will you kindly remove that from my office? Thank you.
It's too bad. All right, man. Well,
all right.
See you later, man.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, if you find any more Japanese first-person shooters, let me know.
You got it.
Hero.
I was walking by my friends at EGM yesterday.
You have friends there?
I do. I have one or two who kind of like me.
Okay, that's cool.
And one of them, Kathleen, was playing Marc Ecko's Getting Up.
I see.
And she wasn't really liking it.
And I can totally understand that. I've been playing it too, and you know, I've been holding a torch for this game. Not since the first time I saw it, but rather since the first time I got a chance to talk to Marc Ecko about it, because it seemed like a lot of the ideas that he was trying to get across in the game, and mostly it was his commitment to making like a product that he was really like comfortable with. And
So
I always
really personally invested into it. 'cause
Yeah,
his
for sure.
name is on it.
Exactly. So I always thought that was pretty respectable. And my initial impressions, when I first turned it on, you get into like the tutorial level, and at that point, it's really easy to to start harping on the problems with the controls.
Yeah.
The combat is better than Grand Theft Auto, but overall, like, not that much different. And
Back down, money.
the combat gets more interesting the more you like weapons you unlock. Like eventually you get a roller that you use to put up like larger and more intricate tags. Sometimes you do it with a stencil, but you can actually use the roller in combat too. The more you invest in it, the more you find. Like there are throw moves that you can do, and the evasion system is pretty fun.
Out the way. Why they hating on me?
Even though it's kind of, the level design is kind of, and the controls feel kind of like a bummer at first, because maybe I was expecting too much or something. Once the game progresses, the level design really does pick up, and the stages are designed more vertically. So you really are, like, you'll enter a new area, and you kind of look around and say like, oh, I need to get up, you know, on top of this overpass and put up this tag there. And then it becomes really fun to kind of jump around and figure out how to get from place to place.
So what's the graffiti tagging system like? Is it like Jet Set Radio or the Warriors or something?
This one, I would say, is actually the most intuitive. You hold down the R1 and basically move the right analog stick slowly to kind of cover up each area, and the tag kind of slowly fills in. These little like drips will come up and flash, and if you hold it over that area for too long, then you get a drip, which basically gives you less points. You're encouraged to basically do it all in one go and do it as fast as possible, so there's a little timer. Yeah, I enjoy tagging in this game more than I enjoy tagging in like Jet Set Radio. 'Cause I know that they've showed a lot of images from the sections in the subway where a train has to tag on the side of trains, and that part is actually really, really cool. It's a time sequence where you have like 3 minutes to tag like 5 spots on the side of 3 different train cars. You know, you need to sometimes move to the side of the car to avoid getting hit by some object. And when a train's turning, you know, there are barriers on the side that you need to avoid, and lights to duck under.
Do you have to do this like with stealth or like cops chasing you, or is it just kind of?
No, more. It's actually a timed event, and yeah, like there are all these different like obstacles that you need to get by. Yeah, and I don't know, there's something kind of compelling about climbing on top of some giant like freeway exit sign, putting your name up, filling the whole thing, and then walking to another sign that's just next to it where, you know, that says something like political like propaganda message, and like just
taking right over it.
Yeah, just defacing it. It's really cool. There's just a lot of heart in the game. I think players will be quick to dismiss it if they just are looking for something super polished, but like if you take the time to look deeper into the game, it definitely has really, really cool elements. I've only played like 3 levels, and I definitely want to play the rest.
So does it make you want to go into the alley there and just spray paint?
No, I think I can get all of my tagging urges out in the game. I mean, really, you can just tag everywhere, so, you know. But yeah, I really like it. So I hope some people will give it a fair chance.
I'll
and
give
actually,
it a shot.
You will?
I will.
Well, thank you, Skip. I'm sure Marc Ecko will be proud.
Used to be alive, brimming with culture, looking at our every move. Be ready to run, they're watching.
Nice office.
Yeah, you like that? What's going on, man?
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Managing editor. Also, can you just turn the music down just a little bit? Maybe just the bass. Just the bass.
Blues Travelers offline now.
Thank you. Thank fucking God. So, I just looked at the Prey cover story. Nice job with that. That was unexpected. I'm a PC cynic sometimes, but do you think Prey really matters now? Like in 2006, like is it relevant still?
It's kind of funny because it would be really easy to dismiss it. You look at it and it's like I'm working on the single player preview still because I'm trying to get the right feel for it. Because you look at the game, you see the screens and all that, and yeah, it looks beautiful, but like, so what? Every game looks beautiful now. I mean, every game even on console looks beautiful.
Yeah, well, I mean, at least it has the unique, aspect of having like metal corridors and demons with rocket launchers on its hand. Well, wait. So you also interviewed George Broussard, right?
Yeah, dude. We interviewed George B.
Okay, now, is he as big of a champion of, delaying games as we all think he is, or what?
Man, talking to George B is really funny because, like, okay, he's actually just pretty much a normal guy. You're talking to him, you're like, this guy sounds like.
And he's young. He's a young guy.
Yeah, he is a pretty young guy. I don't know exactly what he is, but he's a pretty young guy. And you're just talking to him, and he's like, he says the right things, and you hear him. I mean, you can understand how the guy keeps being able to continue production on games because you hear him, and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And then but then after you go away, you're like, wait a minute. Isn't Duke Nukem Forever still not finished? Now they're tied into all that community. I mean, they've all come out. Dude, that's the funny thing. You go back and research Prey, and it's so funny to see how every little piece of like the first-person shooter community, and especially on PC, comes out of those early days of id. Dude, it's all the early days.
But you still haven't answered my question. Is the game good? Does it matter?
It's fucking crazy. It's totally nuts.
Cool. Yeah, what's this? What's that on your face?
Well, as managing editor, I had to at least fit the mold somehow, right?
Okay.
Right?
You're like, is this like Evil Garnet or something?
I gotta fill your legacy, man. It's big shoes to fill.
All right, I'll see you later.
All right, cheers.